Hey, super friends, my name is Neil, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Gear Comic Con podcast. This week, we're doing something a little different in honor of the Super Mario Galaxy movie, which is hitting cinemas today. If you are watching or listening to this podcast on release day, we are going to be talking about some of our favorite, least favorite wish list gaming adaptations in film, TV, and maybe we'll drop in a few comic books as well. So we're going to be talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly from the world of the computer game adaptation, because it's a genre with a bit of a checkered history, which is kind of in a bit of a resurgence and a creative wave at the moment. Joining me, as always, to talk about this, I've got Aaron and Michael. Aaron, how you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm looking forward to talking about this one because it's a weird topic that like no one talks about, but at the same time, as soon as you give them the opportunity, they just go for it.
When you pitched this idea, I was like, yes, this is fun. I like this. This sounds like it could be a really good conversation. So I hope it is.
Yeah.
Michael, how you doing?
I'm amazing, thank you. I'm very excited to talk about video games. It's how I spend all of my free time. So this feels very up my alley. And I'm very excited to talk about the stuff on my list. So yeah.
I'm genuinely expecting to just be shamed because, as I was saying before we started recording, and I definitely said this on other podcasts, I really am only like an IP gamer. I am really bad at playing original games. So when it comes to like wish list things or things that have been turned into movies that I've enjoyed, you're going to be like, okay, because I'm just so like predictable. So I'm expecting some like amazing deep cuts from you guys, whereas I'm going to be like, can we turn Super Mario Brothers 3 into a game from a game to a movie, please? Yeah, we'll see how we go. So, as I kind of just said at the top of this, this week, today, if you're watching this on release day, is also release day for the Super Mario Galaxy movie, which is the sequel to 2023's The Super Mario Brothers movie, potentially opening up a whole world of Nintendoverse on film, as well as giving us a brand new story, bringing in Rosalina and like widening out that whole Super Mario on film world based on the Super Mario Galaxy game, which I can't quite remember what year it was from, but it was from the Wii. So we thought we would kick off by talking about that. Gives me an opportunity to talk about Super Mario Brothers 1993, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. Let's just start there, shall we? Super Mario Galaxy. Are we excited to see it? I've got my tickets booked. I will be probably watching it as this video is dropping. Very excited to see it. Where are you guys on Super Mario Galaxy movie? Michael, go.
I am extremely excited. I really enjoyed the first movie, and I'm just a big Mario fan in general. Like I play Mario Kart all the time. I play Smash Bros all the time. It's a game and a franchise that I just love. What I'm excited about with Mario Galaxy is I'm a big fan of Rosalina. I think
I
she's
remember how
really
excited
cool.
you were when the trailer dropped and we first saw the reveal.
Yeah, her and Luma are the characters that I like to pick in Smash Bros. If I'm not playing as Zelda, she's like up there for me. So I'm very excited to see her come to life. I love the fact that they've got Brie Larson in there because she's such an advocate for this franchise, and I think it's really cool that they've listened to the fans and have cast someone that we all like. Yeah, she's great. Cast her; she'd be perfect for this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm genuinely excited. We've got Yoshi, which is obviously like a fan favorite. So yeah, they're taking a lot of boxes, and I think it just looks really cool. And there's some Easter eggs that some have been spoiled, but I'm sure there's more in there.
Yeah,
which I'm all for.
Aaron, where are you on Mario Galaxy movie?
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. I'm more excited for it than I thought I would be because I thought I enjoyed the first one. It's one of those ones where like as a movie on its own, I thought it was decent and fine and enjoyable. But then like when you compare it to other video game films and even Illumination's back catalogue, it is possibly the best thing that they've produced by like a country mile. And I think that's what in my head in the years since it's released has it's gone up it's got better with time in my head. I do need to revisit it before the new one comes out. I haven't got my tickets booked unlike you do, but I am intrigued to see this one because it looks like it's doubling down on the things that worked really well in that first movie.
Yeah.
and just doing more of the same. So in that sense, I am excited for it. It wasn't initially on my radar as like one I've really got to watch this year, but the closer we've got to release, I'm more like the more I'm getting excited for it.
I'm very intrigued by the way they're widening the world. So the Pikmin, and also the fact that they've then gone ahead and revealed that Star Fox is in it, and that he will be voiced by Glenn Powell, which, again, as we were just saying before we started recording, I'm kind of sad that they sort of revealed that. But the counterbalance to that is, if you're revealing that, then what are you hiding in the film itself? Because it does seem like, I feel like there's been a lot of talk about people thinking that this movie might be a vehicle to open up the Nintendo world. And we know there's a Zelda film, although that's a live action thing, so slightly different to what this Mario film's doing. But it does now feel like they are working towards an animated, like, Nintendo verse that could then go off into all these different facets of the Nintendo world. So I'm excited to see that, but at the same time I'm slightly nervous that doesn't pull too much focus away from Mario, which this is what it's supposed to be. It's the Mario franchise. I really liked the game. It's a game I haven't gone back to in a while. I know they've recently released it for Switch 2 as like a remaster, but I haven't picked it up yet. Yoshi, as you mentioned, Michael, very excited to see Yoshi. That's going to be very cool. His little appearances in trailers and clips I've seen look so cute. So I like the fact that it doesn't seem like they're trying to go too like wildly different to the first one, because I did feel like the first one was pretty perfect. I do find it interesting when you talk to some people about it, though. It does seem like some people were really on the fence with it and didn't like it so much and felt it was just a bit flat and a bit hollow, whereas I just like, it's got all the like proper little theme tunes in there that like Brian Tyler pulled out from the games and made into the score. I just felt like it was really, really Mario. And that just makes it like pure fun for me. So I would be really happy to just watch more of the same.
Yeah, I feel like the formula that they came up with really worked. It felt very like on brand for the franchise. It didn't feel like a step away from what we kind of know. So yeah, I agree. I am excited for the potential NCU, Nintendo Cinematic Universe. If anyone is a massive fan of the Smash Bros. Games, then in the teasers that they've been showing, there's a big hint to where the franchise will go, because we see Rob, which is a robot character who is technically the villain in Smash Bros. So it's kind of giving hints to where like the stories could go, which I think is really cool. And yeah, there's so many little breadcrumbs, which I think if you're a nerd like me, you're picking up on, and I'm kind of into it. I think it's really cool.
Nintendo nerd.
Yeah, I didn't realize how much of a Nintendo nerd I was until we started recording this. But yeah, apparently huge Nintendo nerd.
The first console you ever had, was it a Nintendo?
Technically a PlayStation 1. Like my own very first console was a PlayStation 1. I think my dad had a few consoles growing up, and like my family did, but like my very own console was a PlayStation 1.
What was your first one, Aaron?
I think I'm pretty sure it was a PlayStation 1 in the very early 2000s. I know my first handheld console was a Game Boy Advance SP, the silver one with the tribal tattoo on the back.
Nice.
And I put many hours into Goblet of Fire on that device, and I don't know where it's gone. I don't know what I did with it. I don't know where it's disappeared to.
My first one was actually a NES. And I got it in 1990. And then I had the original brick Game Boy, of which actually, look what is sitting right here.
No way.
Oh wow.
Super Mario Brothers Deluxe on the Game Boy. Sitting right in front of me. Yeah. Definitely, Nintendo was my first console. I had the NES, the Game Boy, then a SNES, and N64. After N64, I disappeared off into Xbox land until I got a Wii. Wii was when I then sort of navigated back towards Nintendo. Never had a GameCube.
I have a horrible thing to admit here, is that like I've not played that many Mario games in the grand scheme. I know a lot of I obviously know a lot of the characters and stories and stuff, and I've played the odd one here and there, but I think the first proper Mario game I ever played was Mario Kart on the Wii, and I kind of stuck to the spin-off ones rather than the full-blown games, and I don't know why that is. I have played a little bit of Mario Galaxy, but again, that was ages ago. But yeah, I don't know why that was the case. In terms of like the main ones, the platformers, I've only played like 1 or 2, but it's all the spin-offs like Mario Tennis, Mario Kart, all those ones are the ones that I think because they're more family oriented and you can play them with anyone. I think
like
that's
Mario
more
Kart.
why. Yeah.
Oh, missing out. I remember one of my like earliest gaming memories outside of playing Toy Story Racer on the PlayStation 1 was playing Mario Sunshine. Mario Sunshine is kind of one of the first games I kind of like have a big memory of. It was great. It's such a good game.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Go on.
I was just gonna say I grew up playing games that I was probably too young to play. Like I think the first game I remember putting too many hours into was the first Medal of Honor, and I'm like, yeah, I shouldn't have been playing that at the age of 6.
Nice.
That's impressive. So have either of you then ever seen any of the Mario cartoons from the 90s?
I've seen clips. Yeah.
I have. Me and my brother, when we were younger, used to watch, because we were obsessed with Mario, we watched the 90s movie, the live action movie, which is just so camp and just insane. And then I can't remember what channel it was on, but there was a channel when I was a kid, and early in the morning, 5 a.m. They'd play like old 90s cartoons, and like the deep cuts, so like stuff like Mario. So yeah, I have like blurred memories of it.
So you've got the Adventures of Super Mario Brothers 3, which is one hell of a mouthful, which was 1990, which was I think my first introduction to the Mario cartoons. So that is like introducing Tanuki Mario and like the leaf as the power up, and very much around that version, and the Koopa Kids, and then my favorite one, which has the greatest theme tune. Like just such an amazing theme tune that I am not going to even attempt to like recreate in this moment. But I implore you to go on immediately, look it up on YouTube. Is Super Mario World. They turned Super Mario World from the SNES into a cartoon in 1991. I think it was 91. Yeah, and it's so good. Like they're almost permanently living in kind of dinosaur land. It's moved on from the Tanuki Mario to the Yellow Cape. You've got all the Koopa Kids. You've got Yoshi who can speak, which is kind of random, but he's very cute. It's such a good show. It's so good. I rewatch it at every opportunity. But it just also has just the most like ridiculous, amazing theme tune. And I wish that it surprised me that there is not more of it, that we don't, even though they're making these movies, that we don't have more of it. And same with comic books. There was a Mario comic book that I had when I was 4 or 5, which I actually still have somewhere. I think it is on the shelves behind me, actually. I should dug it out. Which was just like my prized possession as a kid. It just went with me everywhere. And I must have read it hundreds and hundreds of times. But I couldn't even tell you the last time we had like a Super Mario comic book, which is quite a surprise because it really lends itself to like short form storytelling. It's almost like levels.
Yeah.
So yeah, more really of that. Somebody, whoever has the license, make some Mario comics.
Yeah, I've just remembered the name. I googled it of the TV show I used to watch. It was the Super Mario Bros. Super Show, which I was just doing some quick reading just to like refresh my brain. And the characters
that the one where you had like a live action bit where there were actual actors playing them, and then it went into the animated bit because that was another show as well.
Yes, I believe it is. And they had a character called Princess Toadstool that looks like a mix between
Daisy
Princess
and Peach.
Yeah, and I just remembered that, and I was like, "Oh God, that's crazy! What a weird character." But yes, I think that's the one where it goes from live action to animation, which was crazy.
Well, before we kind of do move on and talk about some of our favorites from this whole subgenre of game adaptation, I do want to talk about Mario 1993 because it is one of my favorite movies. I get that it is not a great adaptation of Mario because it took a lot of creative license. But what are everyone's thoughts on that film?
I've not actually seen it.
Do you know what? I think we've had this conversation before.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where, to be honest, there's a fair few video game adaptations into films that I've like deliberately stayed away of because of their reputation. That may be one of them. Just because it is always, every time I see like a list of like the 10 worst or the general reputation of like, these are generally considered the worst you can get, that 9 out of 10 times is either number 1 or number 2. And every time I've seen a clip from it, I'm kind of like, is this just Fever Dream version of Mario? Like nothing about it other than the fact that they are called Mario and Luigi looks like Mario. And again, that's only going off of the clips I've seen, but I will probably watch it at some point because I know it's got a cult following. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't say I'm super familiar with it. I'm just doing a quick Google as we're talking, and some of like the stills and the shots from the film look familiar, but it's not ringing any bells. The one thing that did make me laugh is when you Google it, and I'm reading the cast, it's like Bob Hoskins, Mario, and then it's got like Carleen Moore, prostitute. Like, what a lovely character name. And like, how does that relate to Mario?
The story behind it is it was actually going to be more of an adult, and I don't mean adult as in like adult. I mean more grown-up version of Mario. But then the studio was like, but kids play this game, let's dumb it down. So it's got 2 directors, which is Rocky Morton and Annabelle Jankel, both very famous names, obviously. And you know, we all love the works of Rocky Morton. I don't know what else they did. And then it's got 3 credited writers. So you've got Parker Bennett, Terry Runte, and Ed Solomon. Just while I'm looking at it, Rocky Morton is co-creator of the TV series Max Headroom. He also worked on... Oh, okay, that's it.
Okay.
I will admit, I've just looked at Annabelle Jankel's filmography, and she did... This is going back to like GCSE English. She did like a TV movie version of the book Skellig, if anyone remembers that, with Tim Roth. It's like an angel in the kid's shed in the back garden.
Yeah.
And we read that book and watched the film alongside it. So there's a weird bit of activity. That from what I remember, that film's not too bad. It's pretty decent, but like I said, it's been like over a decade or so since I've actually seen that because it was at school.
There was a whole bunch of studio meddling that then tried to change the film, and I think they were rewriting it on the hop as they were filming it, and other people were getting brought in. You've got Bob Hoskins as Mario, you've got John Leguizamo as Luigi, Dennis Hopper as Cooper, and Samantha Mathis as Princess Peach, Toadstool Daisy. She's called Daisy in the film. Then you've even got Fiona Shaw in there, who is, you know, fairly legendary actor. As a kind of, her name's Lena. She's involved with Cooper, but like they do a good job of introducing a random bit of backstory. So it essentially says that 66 million years ago, when the dinosaurs ruled the Earth, a meteor crashed to Earth, which is, you know, the one that for us wiped out the dinosaurs. But what it says is that what it actually did was it moved them all to an alternate universe, and the alternate universe is the universe that Mario then ends up going into. So then what happens is sort of like 20 years in the past before the present day of the film is that somebody from dinosaurs also evolved into humans. Take that piece of science. Like a single mum from Dinosaur Land brought her egg and left it on the steps of a nunnery in New York in our world, and what hatches out of the egg is Daisy. So Daisy never knows what her parentage is, and that she's actually the daughter of the king of the Mushroom Kingdom, who is evolved from a dinosaur. And so then she, in the present day, is like a student archaeologist who's doing a dig in New York and happens to unearth this tunnel that has a portal to the dinosaur land in it. But some evil company wants to build on the land, and so tries to ruin her dig by flooding it. So obviously she needs a plumber, and in needing a plumber, the Mario brothers get involved. Then she gets kidnapped by someone from Dinosaur Land who wants to take her back, and so they go chasing after her, discover this portal, and get flung into Dinosaur Land, where they end up becoming the Super Mario Brothers. It's wild, but the Dinosaur Land itself is just it's so random. Like the way it's designed is so 90s. It's really difficult to describe. And there's like weird bits of product placement. So like a bomb from that we all know from Mario, the bombs that walk around are tiny little wind-up toys. But like there's one that Mario uses that goes walking across this gangway, and there's a shot from underneath it, and it's got Adidas stamped on the bottom of its feet as like a product placement. It's just so 90s that it hurts. But there's something about the design of it that I just really like. And so Cooper is de-evolving people. So he de-evolved the king of the Mushroom Kingdom into an actual fungus, and he's like this ball of snot that is just like stuck in his throne room, but he is Daisy's dad, and it's all just a bit crazy. And Yoshi is in it for a couple of scenes, but is like a weird little velociraptor type thing. He's very cute. Fiona Shaw's character stabs him, and it's horrible. It's just Aaron, you said it kind of perfectly. It is kind of a fever dream, but it's I don't know. I just sort of love it.
I think. Where do I start?
Unpack what I just said.
Yeah, that's a lot a lot of information to take on board. It's one of those things where, like, because I think one of the general, we'll probably reiterate this point later, but one of the general issues with most video game film adaptations or TV shows, but mostly films, is the lost in translation aspect of like, right, this element works in the games, but when you put it into film,
how do you give it?
How do you do it justice, but also, you know, translate it properly? This, and again, I realize there's a lot of people involved in the writing of this, and it was written on the go, but like, this feels like this was written by a load of people who heard the name Mario Bros, but had never actually touched the game in their life.
Yeah.
They just took the characters and did what they want with it.
I suppose 1993, we were barely into the SNES era. So it's also like, in terms of storytelling, you've really only got like Mario Bros, the initial one, which is nothing more than a platform side scroller. You've got Mario 2, which isn't actually a Mario game outside in Japan, is a different game that they ported Mario onto, which is why it's completely different and has no Koopa in it. And then Mario Brothers 3, and then I guess you must have Super Mario World if the SNES is already out by then, which does have a bit more storytelling in it to have had Yoshi, but still, it's like, it's just,
I mean, I think this is a really good segue, because what do we think makes a video game adaptation successful? Like, I think that's a really interesting question. Like, what makes from the game to the film good? In our
For a long time, I felt like you couldn't really do it in live action, and which is why I thought that this Mario, like 2023 Mario, was so much better at being a faithful Mario adaptation than 93. It feels like maybe it's the kind of thing that you can only do in animation rather than live action. But then you get stuff like The Last of Us that comes along, where maybe it's because the game is much more cinematic and real looking that then works in live action. Maybe it's about thinking about the source material and which way it leans in terms of what's the best way to do it. Maybe because Mario is such a cartoony, like hyper stylized world, maybe it should just never be in live action. Maybe it just doesn't lend itself to that. So I think it's not straying too far from the source material is definitely one thing.
I think going off of what you've said as well, I think people nowadays have to like really look at the base game and see what would work best for that thing. So like you said, Last of Us or any of those sort of AAA sort of games that lean into like story cinematic styles of storytelling work better in live action and even better in a TV format because they've got a longer period to stretch it out. That's probably why they've veered in that direction for God of War, because I know they're doing an adaptation of that, but they're specifically adapting the recent game that is a little bit more like, it is very similar to The Last of Us tonally. But then at the same time, when you've got these more family-friendly, colourful stuff like Mario or Sonic to an extent, you can kind of it works better when you veer more into the stylistic stuff that works better in the games and don't take yourself that seriously. And I feel like a lot for quite a few years they were having trouble trying to find that footing. Because there's a lot of ones that like were almost there and then they just kind of failed at the last hurdle. And I think it's only in the last 5 to 6 years maybe that we're on like a pretty consistent stride of like, yes, not all of them may be perfect, but like I think tonally, I think they're starting to understand those differences.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I think it's interesting when you look at some of the. It seems like when you make, if you look back at like the 90s, they really weren't doing it well. Which like that fever dream, the other fever dream being Street Fighter 1994. But the weird thing about it is, even though they are not great movies, they are cult classics. Same with 1995 Mortal Kombat. Like I love that movie.
Yeah.
Less so 1997 Mortal Kombat 2. But you look back at it and it's like, no, it really wasn't that well made, but it is kind of iconic at the same time. And I guess back then it's because you weren't seeing big budget, maybe a little bit less once you've got to sort of 95, 97. But that really early 90s period, you're not talking about a lot of big budget special effects movies. So even with Super Mario, stuff like the way the portal worked, it was like a sandstone wall in this cave. But like when Princess Daisy was taken through it, it was like the classic 90s effect of jumping through a sort of weirdly slightly wavy sort of puddly wall. But then she was able to put her face back through it and like call to Mario and Luigi, and they did the special effect. And it was almost like one of those, you know, the thing that you can put your face on that's like, I was going to say nails, but it's obviously not nails.
The pin art.
Pin thing. Yeah, like the pit, like that was a special effect. And that blew my mind as a kid. So if you think 1993, I would have been 7, 8 years old. I can't remember what the release month was. So they were doing stuff that was like technologically quite advanced for their eras, and I think that makes them somewhat iconic at the same time, even when so much of them doesn't work that well.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it's interesting to contrast that with like the Sonic movie, like when we all saw the first look at Sonic, and the entire internet was like, "Why are we trying to make Sonic look this weird like hybrid of realistic and not?" Like,
what was with the teeth?
It had like turkey teeth. It was really strange, and it was like, what? Like, just make it look like Sonic. Like, we don't need to try and make it look like an adaptation or like you know what I mean? Like, just make it look like how we know Sonic, and that's fine. And I think it's cool to contrast that.
Sorry, I was going to say the interesting thing I think with Sonic is the fact that it ended up being so hybrid, but then it's because I think there's no human. Well, obviously you've got Dr. Robotnik, but there's not really any human characters in Sonic. So when he goes to his other worlds, it's very visual effects heavy. But because you're like, the thing with Mario is he's a tiny little, like, weirdly proportioned human being. So other than Bob Hoskins, who else can play him? Whereas with Sonic, because they're all otherworldly creatures, you can do the kind of Roger Rabbit thing because you've not got the precedent of the human. You don't see Earth in it particularly. He's just running around these random lands, and that's what I think makes it work in hybrid, because I thought that was a really interesting one that I wasn't sure would work in that Roger Rabbit type style. And it, you know, look where we are now, getting ready for the fourth one next year.
Very exciting.
All right, should we throw out some other ideas of ones that we have enjoyed over the years? Let's see if anybody's surprised when I say 2001 Lara Croft Tomb Raider.
I was just about to say, let's get it out of the way. Tomb Raider. I mean,
who lands in 2001? Who lands in 2000 and what was it? 2018 in terms of their Tomb Raider adaptation.
It's Angelina, isn't it? Let's be real. Like for me, Angelina's Tomb Raider it's so iconic. When I think of Lara Croft, it's Angelina Jolie. She really took it somewhere, and it was just amazing to watch. I will never not remember the fight that she has in Croft Manor where she's on the rocks. It's to this day one of my favorite action sequences of any movie of all time. I think it's so cool. Even today, I think it's just so inventive.
I still watch it. I watch it all the time. I'm not
Me
quite
too.
quotable, although there's one line where she's always gets me at how much she's like forcing the posh British accent, where she's like, "Was it supposed to blow my head off?" or whatever it is with the robot at the beginning. She must have spent hours just sitting there watching those tiny little bits of Lara talking in the game to try and get that voice right.
Yeah. It's like so bad it's good. You know, like when she punches the shark in the face in the second one. Like
the second I do struggle with the second one. There's that huge set piece with the helicopter in are they in China or Japan or somewhere where it's in the middle of like a square and the helicopter is crashing, but it's clearly an indoor set with the helicopter suspended from the ceiling. So I was always sad that the second one didn't live up to the first one, but that first one is just perfection.
Yeah. What makes it perfection for you? I feel like it's a very subjective thing.
I think because I was playing those games from the very beginning on PC, and it just felt like it got it like pitch perfect, because those games are so like eternally camp, and which is why I think the 2018 film did a really good job of adapting the Survivor trilogy, because it tonally shifted to what that game was, but it was just she was so over the top but perfectly Lara. I actually liked stuff like giving her a tech support, which she didn't necessarily have in the games back then, and making it a little bit more like contextually how it should be. And the fact that it didn't try and make it really serious, that it was fun, and it still had some it was nowhere near as outlandish as the games were, because I just finished the remaster of Tomb Raider 3, and the villain is a human in that game, but right at the last minute he uses the power of a meteorite to turn into a giant spider who still has a human head, and you have to try and kill him. And the films never went quite that far, but you've got Daniel Craig in the first one getting stabbed through the heart with a knife, and then them turning back time using the device that they had uncovered to fix him and saving. And I liked that they kept some of those outlandish elements that went a bit further than sort of Indiana Jones, whilst giving it a little bit more seriousness for a film adaptation as well. I just felt like they nailed it.
Yeah,
music as well. Actually, I love the soundtrack to both of those. The Korn song that she was in the music video for. There's just some great music in both of those films.
It is amazing. I remember as a kid, Lara Croft almost being like a celebrity, like being on magazine covers. Like she was like the first like video game like person character concept that almost broke out into the real world for me. Like I'm sure there was other examples, but like she was like a celebrity in of herself. Like she was an entire entity, and I think the films.
Go on, sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just about to say we spoke about this before, like of how like she became like her own thing, and I think casting Angelina Jolie as that, like especially when you look at her career, makes so much sense. It's such a smart choice. So yeah, love it.
I was just going to mention that world record that she's the most coveted computer game character, that she's been on more magazine covers than Mario.
Damn.
Which is crazy.
I do think Alicia Vikander deserves. 2018. I don't go back and watch 2018 as much as I go back and watch 2001. But 2018 is still a solid film, and was much more contemporary. And I just wish that she got a sequel.
Yeah, I feel really bad for that 2018 one, because I think I did see that in the cinema, and I thought throughout the entire time I thought it was decent and fine, but it wasn't anything better than that.
Yeah.
And I feel like that film, whereas the original two, like you said, work really well when it leans into that sort of over the top supernatural campiness of the games. That 2018 one works best when it's gritty and grounded, like more recent games have been. But then, like in the last few minutes, it decides to then lean into the campiness.
Yeah.
Like I think the bit right at the end where it hints at her in her original attire with like the ponytail and the giant guns and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That is where I'm like, okay, you should have just stuck to. You don't need to lean into that. You've kind of got your own identity that works for the sake of this. I don't know. I don't mind that film, but I do like. I think like you guys, I do just lean to the Angelina Jolie ones because they're more fun. Which isn't again anything against the 2018 one. The 2018 one's still fine, but in comparison, I would pick that over that one.
Yeah. The anime on Netflix is interesting. I've only done the first season. I've not watched the second season. Loved the casting. That was the casting I wanted for that with Hayley Atwell. And if for the Prime series, if they were going for a Lara that was more aged up, I would absolutely want Hayley Atwell to play that role. But at least we got her as the voice because she's great as the voice actor for it.
Yeah, she does a really good job.
Yeah. And same with comics as well. Dark Horse has done some really, really great Tomb Raider comic books. And the one that they've got at the moment, Sacred Artifacts, we just got the third issue, the final issue. It's only a 4-issue series. Is out next month. Has been really, really good as well. Somebody call something that's not IP. Go
on. I've got a couple of not weird ones, but I'm just going to rattle off a couple of my favorites. One of which I feel like is on Michael's opposite list of least favorites because you mentioned it before we were recording. So I've got an obscure one in the sense that it's Halo Legends, where it's not one of the live action mini short film things that they did. I think it was DVD only or Blu-ray, but basically it's a selection of about 10 anime short films, all lynching off of the Halo universe, and it's basically like a load of different directors' interpretations and little mini stories within that universe. And I used to rewatch the hell out of it because I used to love Halo back in the day. Watch it. I used to play Halo back in the day. God, my brain's gone. And this, I don't know. Some of the short films aren't perfect on a rewatch, but like a lot of them are just simple, to the point, and fun. And they're just really. Plus, there's some really notable directors in there. There's one I can't remember who it is. Where is his name? No, can't find it. Oh, Mamoru Oshii, who did Ghost in the Shell.
Oh, wow.
Directed I think he co-directed one of the short films. Wow. And to be honest, it is one of the better anime short films on that disc. But yeah, there's a variety of different styles. Some are like oil-painted, hand-drawn. Some are traditional anime style. I think even the guy that, I can't remember his name, but the guy who created Cowboy Bebop contributed to one of them. And again, there is one in that style. Then there's like a CG animated one that feels like you're playing a really watching a glossy cutscene from one of the games. So yeah, that's a notable one. This one is like a guilty pleasure for me. Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within, which if you watch it now, has nothing to do with Final Fantasy property in terms of the games. I think it just borrowed the title and did its own thing, because the film just is like, yeah, we're just going to use the name Final Fantasy, and has nothing to do with any of the games at all. There's no Cloud in there. There's no anything from any of the games. It's just a really decent CG animated sci-fi action film from the year 2001, and it's got a pretty decent cast as well, like Donald Sutherland, Alec Baldwin, and Steve Buscemi do the voices. Nice. And yeah, I haven't watched it for a while, so it might not be as good as I think it is.
Sometimes it's left in the memory, like Mario 1993.
Yeah, but I've always had a soft spot for it because it's one of those ones where I just randomly discovered it as a kid because I found it so fascinating. And I remember being in awe of it as a kid, because even for the time of its release in 2001, the CG animation looks like it's a little bit dated now, but back then it's like it's pretty damn good. Like that would pass for a really good graphics in a game now, sort of thing. But yeah, if you're a Final Fantasy fan, don't watch it because it's got nothing to do with the actual franchise that it's titled after. But if you're looking for like a fun sci-fi action film that just happens to be called Final Fantasy, it's not too bad. And the other one I was going to mention is Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, which I think Michael said before we were recording he wasn't keen on, but I think it's a lot of fun because it just feels like a bit that I think at the time, because it came out in 2010, it felt to me like this is what video game adaptations could be. Big budget, really glossy, pretty entertaining. Again, I haven't seen it for a while, but I remember enjoying the hell out of it. Go on, Michael. I know you're not gonna.
No.
We both just crying, laughing at that fact.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I would actually probably, I fall somewhere directly between the two of you on this because I saw it at the cinema and I actually did really enjoy it. And I think I've still got it on Blu-ray somewhere in the house. I think I may even bought it on digital. I do remember enjoying it, and I do remember wishing that it had a sequel. I have not watched it in years, so I couldn't tell you very much about it other than I remember at the time thinking Donnie Darko did all right for himself.
Yeah. I mean, I've not watched it in a while, but the reason it's on my like more negative side of my list, I guess, is because I saw a clip of it the other day on TikTok, and it's like, God, this is we could maybe redo this and do a better job. Like it just maybe hasn't aged as well, I guess. It's not that it's bad by any means. It's just more a case of this franchise as like an IP is so iconic.
2010.
And I'm like, I think movies have developed, like, and how we can make movies have developed, and how we tackle video game IP in films has changed. And I think Prince of Persia is a really good example of like that could be an amazing, not like Dune, but kind of that more like epic fantasy kind of like thing.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from because I think that film on its own works well for the context and the year it came out because it was very much trying to be like, we're just going to do the Pirates of the Caribbean thing, but with this video game IP. Yeah, and in that sense, it kind of works. Yeah. But now that the times have changed a little bit, and you look back at, to be honest, Prince of Persia falls into that category of like, it's a fun film. I remember enjoying it. But I've not had the need or want to revisit it for quite some time, even though I do have fond memories of it. Whereas, like you said, Michael, I think there is that opportunity to make it a bit more, I don't know, a little bit more in line with the games it's based on, but also make it a bit more epic.
Yeah, I just feel like the material lends itself to something really epic and grand, and I feel like just another swing at it with a different creative team could be really interesting.
I'm so confused.
Why?
I was just looking at the kind of names that were, because obviously you had Gyllenhaal, you've got Gemma Arterton, who was not hugely famous at the time, but I think has become a lot more famous since.
Well, at the time, she only had like the Centurions films under her belt and maybe Quantum of Solace.
You've got Ben Kingsley, you've got Alfred Molina. The score was by Harry Gregson Williams. And then I was looking at the director because Mike Newell isn't necessarily a name that immediately pings in my database. But he was Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
Yeah.
The bit that then got me was most known for Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire and 4 Weddings and a Funeral.
Yeah. That one always throws me whenever I talk to anyone about Goblet of Fire because I'm like, Goblet of Fire is my second favorite Harry Potter film. Third, I can't remember. But I'm just like, he did 4 Weddings and a Funeral as well. It's tonally inconsistent, but I love it.
He came from Coronation Street. That's where he started. 8 episodes of Coronation Street.
That doesn't surprise me for some reason. That doesn't surprise me.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's cool.
To get from there to Prince of Persia is kind of insane. I'm impressed at the hustle. It's just what I was thinking was you're right, because as soon as you said of the era, I was suddenly thinking about things like Clash of the Titans and stuff that they were making back then, where it was like that we suddenly have the ability to make affordable creature features that are not like old claymation style.
It does also fit that box of like, I always forget that Prince of Persia is technically a Disney film too.
Yeah.
That one always kind of baffles me until I see the Disney logo on top of the poster, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And then they did nothing with it.
No, exactly. They haven't done anything with it. Go on, right, Michael, give us one off your list. I'm intrigued to know what some of your favorites are that we might not have touched on.
So I've got 3 on here. I know you've said for 1, but I'm going to group them together because I didn't realize there was a theme until I was looking at my notes. So I've got Devil May Cry, Cyberpunk Edge Runners, and Arcane, which interestingly are all Netflix animation series. Yeah. I'd not made that connection, but yeah, they're all Netflix animated series, and I think all of them do, for different reasons, really cool stuff. Arcane, I think we'll kind of all forget that it is based on League of Legends because it's so famous and so well like loved in its own right. And I just think it's like the perfect adaptation. It's so well done. If you've not watched Cyberpunk Edge Runners, I could not recommend it enough. It is so interesting. I've not even really played Cyberpunk as a game. I know of it. Like, it's obviously, again, really famous, but the TV show does
for the right reasons.
Yeah, but the TV show does such a good job at like
interesting.
Yeah, bringing you in. And then Devil May Cry. I think it, like one of the last episodes we recorded like a couple of like weeks ago. I think the Devil May Cry was on my list of things I'm excited for this year because there's the new season coming out. And yeah, it just does a really good job. All of them are so different. But yeah, love them.
Isn't there a Netflix Castlevania series as well?
Yes, there is, which is also on. I put it on my list of things. I've not seen every episode, but I mean, we're at the point now where I think the main series is finished, and they're into like spin-offs and stuff. It's become an entire like behemoth of an animated universe.
Damn.
Yeah, I think Netflix do a really good job at letting each franchise be their own thing. Like they're not kind of limiting the franchise like, well, you must do this because you're a video game adaptation. They're quite free with what they're willing to come up with, which I like.
No, I totally. I'm going to be brutally honest. I've not seen any of the Netflix shows, but they're all like on the top of my watch list in terms of, like, I need to watch Arcane, I need to watch Castlevania, I need to watch Devil May Cry. And come to think of it, on my general list, I only have one TV show, which is a bit of a throwback, and that's Sonic X.
Nice.
Because I used to watch that religiously. Yeah, 2003, I think it says it came out.
I was going to say 2003.
Yeah, and I think with that and Yu-Gi-Oh, I used to watch the ever-living bejesus out of both of those on like a Saturday morning. Yeah.
I think what you've just landed on as well with that, Michael, is because anime has very few or any rules whatsoever. Video games, probably regardless of whether they've worked in live action or just traditional like American animation, always seem to land in anime because there are just no rules and you can just get away with any of the crazy stuff that you could do in a video game. I could almost imagine like Mario in anime, even if you like completely animate it to like extreme levels, we'd still think it would be like awesome.
Yeah, you can almost vision him like doing like his upper punch in like a really cool like anime style. Like it does lend itself. I think it goes back to that stylized thing that we spoke about earlier.
Yeah, actually, I suppose this segues into the next thing we were going to talk about. But like, I'm thinking of other video game films that we've had, and I'm like, oh, this would work great as a Netflix anime series. Like the first one I'm thinking of is Warcraft, which I know was a bit mixed on release. I've only seen bits and pieces of it, but just in concept, considering World of Warcraft as a game series is very like, there isn't really a story, you just kind of do your own. It's a bit like GTA or Minecraft. You kind of do your own thing within that world. I feel like that could work in animated like series form if they were to do it again. Like they really put a lot into that film because it's looks big, epic, expensive. But I feel like maybe going with that approach might service it better.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Which you just made me think of one, actually. I'm like, yes, I've thought of an original title that I used to play before you were both born. So there's a game on the. I actually think it goes back to the Game Boy and even the NES, but the version that I played was Super R-Type on the SNES. If you've ever played R-Type, it's just like a space shooter, so side-scrolling space shooter. In Super R-Type on the SNES, you like there's not even any cutscenes where you would see pilots or anything. It's just like ship takes off, shoot stuff. But it would be so perfect as an anime because it's like one tiny little ship on screen against all these like massive, like wildly designed aliens and huge ships and stuff. And as you collect power-ups, it gives you more and more elaborate weapons and shields and stuff that just gets wilder and wilder to the point where like everything is really colorful and firing off in different shapes. There's like weapons that are like lasers that bounce around the screen. There's another one where it's like circling around in these red and blue like swirls, and it's all very like stylized. And you get like you'd think that you're fighting a robot that's got this like massive mech suit, but then you blow it off and it would terrible words to say there. You blow the helmet off and it would be like an alien creature inside, and once you've like taken all the shielding off, you've then got to defeat this like alien creature inside. That's terrible. That's a clip. That's a clip right there. And that would be perfect as an anime. You'd probably need to create some characters for sort of who's piloting these ships. But in terms of like the action, it lends itself perfectly. Someone else talk.
Okay, I have one. It's not necessarily a video game. It's a board game, but I've got a connector, so roll with me. Did either of you watch the Dungeons and Dragons movie?
Yes.
Did we enjoy it?
Loved it. Yeah.
Every second.
I thought it was really good. I really wanted the people behind it to make the new X-Men movie because I thought they did a really good job of balancing different powers.
Yeah.
Separate conversation. But
it's fine. They're making the new Star Trek movie.
Perfect. But yeah, Dungeons and Dragons, I know it's not necessarily a video game, but I think was a really good example of taking something that we all know and then converting it to film. And I know that they're making a Baldur's Gate movie or TV show, I can't remember which one it is, which is kind of similar to Dungeons and Dragons. It's like a role play thing. And I think that could be a very interesting series, TV show, movie, whatever they choose to do with it. Because it's one of them IPs where like the game itself is just like choose your own adventure. So from like a film perspective, could go anywhere. And I kind of like that. I think it's really cool.
Yeah. In terms of the sort of bad examples that need a redo, and we kind of touched on it slightly, but we have Mortal Kombat 2 coming out this year. And if you go back to that Mortal Kombat 2, it did a similar thing to what we're getting between this version of 1 and 2, in that 1 was very earthbound, bringing us into that world, and 2 then went wild and gave us a full-on tournament. And that's kind of what 2 did back in 1997, but just really, really cheaply. So I'm excited to see what they do with it, because I think the trailer for 2026 Mortal Kombat 2 looks really fun. And I just want to see them be able to do a tournament on screen and have all of that craziness happening.
It's an interesting that the first Mario movie and the sequel, and the first Mortal Kombat movie and the sequel, like the leap, like the faith that the studios had in the film, like you can tell that they've gone, let's just throw everything at it. Like this is a massive IP. Like the jump is really interesting to me.
Yeah,
I do think Mortal Kombat looks like it's going to be one of like the biggest films of the year. Well, I hope it is. It looks really promising. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I'm a massive Mortal Kombat fan, and I think they've kind of found the right notes to play up. I think it's tapped into that kind of like comic booky kind of action-y stuff, but then it's got the right ingredients, I guess is the best way to put it.
I'm glad that they didn't try and take it too seriously. I feel like they tried a little bit in the first one, but they sort of realized that it's not the kind of property that you can try and make completely serious. You do have to lean into the campiness of it. Same thing with Street Fighter. Like, obviously, they went way too far back in the 90s into the campy side of it. But I feel like, although we haven't seen a huge amount from this year's version of Street Fighter, I feel like they're leaning into it enough that they know you need to have that slightly cheesy angle to it to be able to make a concept like that work.
Are they made by the same studio? Because if they are, a Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter movie would go crazy.
No, so, well, do you know what? My instinct is to say no because Mortal Kombat is Warner Brothers and Street Fighter's Paramount.
Oh yes.
But
So maybe next year.
Yep. But Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter as a concept of a film would go crazy.
Yeah.
I'd be into that. In terms of other films that we've had, like games that I think we could do a redo on, Assassin's Creed comes to mind like immediately.
You know what? I haven't seen any of the live action stuff that they've done from that. I never saw the
Have
film.
you not? I feel like it's one of them. Like the Michael Fassbender movie was just not like it kind of looked like it had all the right ingredients. Like Michael Fassbender felt like the perfect choice, like a really good option. And then they lost it. They just did not know what to do with it at all. And it just
it's funny. It's funny you mentioned that they are working on a series.
Oh yeah, it's Netflix, isn't it? Is that the one that cast Noomi Rapace in?
Yes, Netflix series, and it's directed. It's going to be directed by the co-director of Chernobyl.
Oh wow!
So they've got a decent like lineup, and I think something similar to the Prince of Persia thing. I feel like Assassin's Creed will lend itself more to TV.
Yeah,
because we've got so far with the games that like they've kind of tapped into a lot of so many different historical settings. You could do I can't remember what you could do, like a mini anthology thing where like each season is a different setting, and then find a way to link them all in. But I do think I've not seen that Assassin's Creed film, but I've heard very mixed things about it. Some people I know who've seen it love it, and then other people just think it's fine. But I used to be a really big fan of Assassin's Creed when the first couple games came out, and I'm like, this is ripe for a film or TV show adaptation. There is actually there's a recent film that came out that got absolutely panned that I think would work better in a TV show format, and that's Borderlands.
That was such a disappointment. That should have been brilliant.
Yeah, because
so many examples where you've got a really cool set of creators and cast, and it just doesn't pop.
I think this goes. There's a through line here back to the 90s Mortal Kombat, but I used to be very in and out of the Borderlands games, but then I really loved the third one specifically. And at the time of me playing the third one, that's when the film was about to come out. And I found one bit of information that broke my heart, which was the fact that it was a 12 or something, and that they basically it had gone down from like an 18 rating to that. And I'm like, have you not played Borderlands? Those are some of the like most crass, bloody games you can play outside of Mortal Kombat. And I know that's a complaint a lot of people had back in the 90s when that first Mortal Kombat film came out, in the fact that like the rating was nowhere near as intense as they thought it would be, because it kind of does a disservice to how violent the games are.
Yeah.
And I've not seen Borderlands because I just saw more and more negative reviews of it, which is a shame because I like the games a lot and I kind of want to watch it still. But I think that would lend itself to not necessarily like a One Piece style thing that they've got going on Netflix, but maybe even an anime where it leans into the over the topness and the comedy of it more.
Yeah.
While still having, because it's in that format, you then have the levity to be as gory and as stupid as you want to be, like those games can be at times.
Yeah. Kind of like the Devil May Cry. That's literally like a really good example, I think, because where it's really like adult and heavy, like R-rated, but then it's really funny, and I think that would be a perfect place for it to live on Netflix.
You just put me in mind of Twisted Metal, which is the series on Paramount Plus with Anthony Mackie. It's because those games aren't a million miles away from Borderlands, and that's translated reasonably well into a TV show.
Not gonna lie, I think there's a lot. This kind of veers more into territory of things that haven't been adapted yet that I'd like to see. But I feel like if it's a racing game style thing, or if it's got that sort of format to it, like Twisted Metal does, immediately, because I know how well Twisted Metal's been doing, I feel like that would work better in a TV format than a film, because they've tried it in films like with Gran Turismo and Need for Speed, and from the general criticisms I've heard, the race scenes are great.
Yeah,
that's kind of it.
Especially when you're trying to like create characters that are interesting.
Yeah, especially trying to cram it into like a 2-hour runtime. I think that was the biggest issue Need for Speed had from the reviews I saw of it when it came out. Because I was really excited for it, because that first trailer, I remember back when it came out, looked incredible. And then the reviews started coming out, and a lot of people said, like, outside of the race scenes being all practical and really intense, the story's just not there. And I feel like Twisted Metal's kind of proven that if you're going to adapt something like a racing game to screen, you kind of need to do it in the TV format, because you can spread it out more, and you can give the races more time to breathe alongside the story at the same time.
Yeah, you're right. You just made me think of something else that I've never thought of before. Just in talking about Mortal Kombat from the 90s being like reduced in rating, and the same with Borderlands.
Yeah.
And you even mentioned it. You literally said it. We all play video games that are aged way above us when we're kids.
Yeah.
So I've never thought of that in terms of when the studio makes, because it's fine, because your parents go and buy the video game, and did any store ever ID you for a video game? They probably would now, maybe, but they certainly never did back then. So then movie studios must have had that in their mind as well, thinking, well, actually, we want to make a Mortal Kombat movie that if you were to literally translate the game to a film, that would be an 18. But we know it's mainly played by like 8 to 10-year-olds.
I think, what's a really interesting comparison is, do you remember when Deadpool came out and there were so many people that were like, oh, well, my kid wants to watch it, but they can't. Yeah, and it created this kind of like hype where it was like all of us adults that could go watch it. Like, yeah, it's amazing. And then like I knew so many like people in my family that were younger that were like, I can't wait to like stream it or watch it. It created like almost like a second wave of excitement. And I think having Mortal Kombat be R-rated, I'm like, it's only going to help it continue.
Yeah.
So we were going to touch on everything that's coming up this year. I think we've talked about a fair amount of it. Aaron, you helpfully found a list, which I'm going to read out. So there was Return to Silent Hill, Iron Lung. Iron Lung's an interesting one, because did I read that someone basically, was it like a YouTuber or something that bought the rights to it and self-funded, made the whole thing?
Markiplier did the whole thing on a shoestring budget that he funded entirely himself from his YouTube revenue, as far as I'm aware.
So then you've got Super Mario Galaxy, Exit 8, Mortal Kombat 2, Resident Evil, the Zack Cregger version, Street Fighter, and this surprised me, Angry Birds 3. Don't remember.
It surprised me when I added it to the list. I didn't realize it was. I thought it was a next year thing, but apparently not.
And then we haven't got any TV, so we've not got Last of Us this year, have we? Or Fallout's been and gone. I need to watch season 2. Tomb Raider. In production, we might see some of it this year.
TV's a bit sparse because a lot of stuff's in the works, but nothing outside of maybe some of the animated shows for Netflix are particularly ready to go yet. So, like, God of War's in production, Assassin's Creed's in production, Tomb Raider's in production.
There's
a lot, and I think there's a Far Cry thing as well. But yeah, a lot of that stuff's being worked on, but we probably won't get it for like another year or two at best.
But I think that just shows that there's been a sudden boom where they've done well, and that has meant that suddenly we're mining as much as possible to make as many adaptations as we can. So clearly, it's going to be a very popular genre for the next few years.
It's good, considering there was such a slodge in like the 2000s and early 2010s of, we're trying, but we constantly keep failing, with a few good ones here and there. It's good to see this resurgence of like, right, now we know what works, we can double down on that and really, deliver stuff that's going to be what the fans want to see. And I'm glad we're kind of living in that now, because we've all lived through the
We've lived through the dark days.
Yeah, we've lived through the dark days, and that's not to say that every adaptation we get nowadays is perfect. There's still quite a few iffy ones here and there. I mean, Paul W.S. Anderson still keeps making video game films that are 100 miles from the game. Why he keeps getting the permission to do that, I don't know. But yeah, there's still going to be teething issues along the line. But I think with the likes of Mario and Mortal Kombat, and I guess Five Nights at Freddy's and Minecraft as well, because they've all performed well. Those last two some people may not think they're good, but they've performed incredibly well.
Yeah.
So the fact that we're getting this era of new stuff that is faithful is reassuring, but I think we need to have it with like an asterisk next to it going, yeah, we're still going to have a bit of crap here and there, but it is what it is.
I think what's going to be really interesting is to when a few years have gone by and all of these movies have come out, is to compare, do some of the more legendary IPs, like Mario and Zelda will have been out by then. How do they fare against some of the IPs in the video game world that not everyone will know? Because I feel like most people will know what Legend of Zelda is, or they might have heard of it. So it's going to be an interesting period, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Kind of like when, in the comic book space, when the Suicide Squad came out, and all of us were loved the Suicide Squad, and then the casual people were like, who? I think it's going to be a really interesting era film.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We were going to wrap up with some kind of ideas of things that should be movies or shows, and we've kind of touched on it. I think we've dipped in and out of it a lot as we've been talking. Were there any more that either of you had that you really want to see adapted? Yes, Michael, go.
I have a list as long as my arm. I will rattle them off.
Rattle them off, please do.
Top of my list, Overwatch. I think Overwatch makes complete sense.
Never played it.
You are someone that plays Overwatch, you'll be familiar with the cinematics that they do when they do new seasons, and they're basically mini movies anyway. The cast, just the characters, everything they've got going on just makes perfect sense. So
do you think
Overwatch?
Do you think Overwatch would work if they gave it the Arcane treatment?
I think Overwatch could be TV or movies, or blend into two. I literally play it all the time, and the storylines are so big and cool that I think there's so much there. They just need to, go for it. It'd be cool if it did get a Prime or a Netflix home, and they're just fully invested in it. But yeah, that's a really good comparison. Arcane, I think, would be a really good comp. But yeah, Overwatch, I think. Ratchet and Clank. Are we familiar with Ratchet and Clank?
Yeah.
There was the film in 2016, wasn't there?
Yeah, I think so. But again, I'd love to see them TV or something. It'd be cool to see it again. Control. It's kind of really obscure.
Yes. I am so on board with that one. Yes,
I've played that one.
I played that one. I know that
found
one. Control was one of them games when I was playing it where I was this feels like a film anyway. It feels so cool. A24 just went crazy and made a superhero movie.
Oh! I found another one. Alan Wake.
Yes, I was going to suggest Alan Wake. Yeah.
I'm not as bad as I thought I was.
No.
Sorry, please continue.
No, of course. Rayman. Are we familiar with Rayman?
Yes.
Do you remember that platformer back in the day?
Yeah.
I think that would
makes
work.
Perfect sense. A bit of a left turn, but I think I'm surprised this hasn't been a film already. Actually, Call of Duty.
Right, they are working on a film.
Okay, because
they are
working on John Wick.
Film. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for that, they've got Peter Berg directing it, with Taylor Sheridan writing it, which I think's a pretty decent combo.
Yeah, that is good.
And when you think about it, Call of Duty films are like the game versions of playing a Michael Bay film at times. So I feel like you got Peter Berg, who, when he has a really good project, when he has a good script to work off of, he can make a good film. And Taylor Sheridan is a damn good writer. So I feel like that should work in theory.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know they were doing that. That does sound really good. I'm surprised it's not been made already, because it's literally one of the biggest games on Earth. Yeah. But yeah, so Call of Duty, and then my last two are Kingdom Hearts, which is a really
yes.
very Disney, very Disney centric, and I've never really like given it like a lot of time. It's not a game I'm super familiar with. I just know it from being in the gaming space, and I know how much people love it. And then I also think like a Metroid Samus movie, makes so much sense. So that's my list.
That's a good list. That's a very good list.
Oh, one final one. This is more of a jokey one. I'm surprised they've not made a Fortnite movie. I'll be honest. Like,
just to cash in on it.
I will not be watching that if they do.
You're right though. Given that games like Minecraft have done so well, and the fact that Fortnite is such a cultural phenomenon, it is surprising that they haven't tried to cash in on it somehow by doing something with it like that.
I feel like
the licensing of all the different IP that's in it.
I was going to say it's probably trickier for them to adapt it into film or TV format because there's so many licenses now, or so many IPs just dotted around. Because the problem is, if they stripped it right back to basic Fortnite, that then becomes a tricky thing of like, is that interesting enough to then warrant its own film or TV show? Because I feel like Fortnite only became as cultural as it was because it kept getting all these IPs in.
You always think of a situation like Ready Player One, how the Ready Player One film, because it was Warner Brothers, then it still smashed together so many different IPs, but it was all like Warner Brothers' own stuff. Whereas the book, when you go back to the book, it's a bit more widespread around different licensing.
Yeah.
I think it could be quite cool. I mean, it could also be absolutely terrible, but as a concept, I think it could be interesting. But that is my list of things that I think would be really good.
Any more for you, Aaron?
I've got a little list. It's nowhere near as long as that, but I do have a little list of my own. Number one, my favorite game of all time that I will always keep wanting them to adapt into a film, but it just never seems to quite get there, is BioShock. I think the last time it got anywhere is, and this is still kind of the limbo phase, is that Francis Lawrence is supposed to be directing a film, I think, for Netflix.
Wow.
And that's the last it's kind that I think that news broke 2 or 3 years ago and nothing's heard of it since. And that seems to be the constant repeat cycle that it's stuck in. Like a film will get announced with a really good director attached. You won't hear anything for several years and then it will get dropped. Because originally they wanted Gore Verbinski to do something with it.
Okay.
And he wanted to make a faithful BioShock film, but I think the studio stopped it because he kept asking for too much money, which, to be honest, if you've ever played BioShock, it kind of needs to be expensive because of the setting. The fact that it's in a city under the ocean, like you kind of need to make it look the part. So that's my dream one, which at this rate I don't think is ever going to happen, but if it does, now that I think there's more faith in video game adaptations, I think that might
maybe.
Fingers crossed. Maybe. I don't know. I think a Metal Gear Solid series, I think, would work brilliantly, or even a film. I don't know. This is a bit of a niche one. I don't know if anyone's heard of it. Split Second Velocity.
No.
It's a racing game. It's one of my favorite racing games of all time. It's a racing game from 2010 where it's staged like a reality show in the sense that you can blow up the course around you to get rid of your opponents, but it's like grounded in a certain reality where you're racing sports cars around like a city or a dam, and you blow up like the environment around you and trigger things that then kind of, and it is treated in the game like an actual reality show sort of thing. And I feel like if you gave Split Second Velocity the Twisted Metal treatment, it would work perfectly because it's kind of already working within that frame for the game. Just translate that to a TV show and it's there pretty much. But unfortunately, it kind of flew under the radar when it came out, so I don't know whether someone would want to adapt it. But it's one of my favorite games of all time, and I kind of wish someone would do something with it. And the last two, well, 2/3 on my list, Destroy All Humans, I think would warrant a really good adaptation. I don't know what it'd be, film or TV, but I think because the humor of those games is so specific, I think that could work. And the last one, and I'm surprised they haven't done this already, is an animated Crash Bandicoot / Spyro thing, because you immediately can then cross them over and have like your own mini, kind of like what the Mario stuff's doing, where they're connecting all the Nintendo stuff in film form, in animated form. Just do it with Crash and Spyro because they've crossed over in the games before. You know, you've got two right there, and then you can just pick and choose other IPs you want to bring in. Like, that's kind of feels like a no-brainer in my opinion. Again, I wouldn't know if it'd be film or TV, but if you just make it animated and like do separate one-off films and then cross them over,
I'm into that.
There you go.
I used to love Crash Bandicoot. That is such a good idea. I love that.
Okay, I have one because I was just desperately going through my PlayStation library, going, "Can I make myself sound cool?" Evil Within. On the topic of like Control and Alan Wake, Evil Within was a good game. That would make a perfect horror movie. And then I had one other one that I feel should be given a second chance at life in a movie, Uncharted.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't hate that film, considering I love
either, but it didn't feel very close to the game in a way. It felt more like, let's come up with a vehicle for Tom Holland.
It almost felt like National Treasure with an Uncharted guise over it. And I feel like, similar to what we were saying about Tomb Raider, Uncharted works really well, at least the games do, when they start off being grounded adventure films and then at the last minute veer into a supernatural territory.
Yeah.
And this film just felt like National Treasure with Tom Holland in it. Without that supernatural element.
Yeah, I think so. I think we've pretty much covered every adaptation ever made.
There's probably a lot of the crap ones we've missed deliberately.
If there are any glaring omissions out there, then please find us on social media and let us know, because I would love to know what your favorites are and what ones we might have missed. So please do find us at Get Your Comic Con on all platforms and let us know what your favorite video game adaptations are, regardless of whether it's film, TV, or what it might be. Because I'm always interested to know what people like and don't like. If you did like Super Mario Brothers 1993, then high five, because you're clearly in the cool club. I'm so glad we did this, because it's nice to just sit and find a topic and dig into it, especially hearing what like different opinions we've each got on it.
Yeah, it's really exciting. It reminds me of like when the comic book space started blowing up on movies. It's like we're at the dawn of something new. It's really cool.
Yeah, definitely it is.
I also feel like this gives us the opportunity to do the same thing again in future episodes, but with different topics. I don't know what other topics, but like, I suppose comic book films, or, you know, that's the only one I can think of at the moment, but there are there are other subgenres.
Yeah.
Well, that just leaves me to say that we will be back in a couple of weeks. We need to brainstorm what we're going to be covering, but we're about to probably get really busy having watched Mario, and then it'll be Lee Cronin's Mummy, and then we'll be into summer season, and it'll be Supergirl and Spider-Man before you know it. So things are about to get super busy, I think. So that just leaves me to remind you all to stay safe and stay well, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye.
Thanks for watching, Super Friends. Check out more videos from across our YouTube channel right here. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share on all your favorite platforms. See you next time.